My wife's paid me a surprise visit to the workshop today, so I've got an assistant, my lovely assistant, to do the filming for me. I'm going to show you how I mix and granulate the gunpowder to make lift and burst charge. And I've got 5 kilos here. This has all been in the mill for 3 hours. And as I say, I'm not trying to make the world's fastest gunpowder. I just want something that an ounce per pound will get my shell up into the air at the correct height. So what I do is very basic. I'm sure there's lots of other ways of producing BP, corning and other methods, etc. But this is just the way I do it. So I've got 5 kilos here, which is 12, what is it in American weights? 12 pounds or so, something like that. And I like to granulate mine using around about 25% water. So I've just measured out 1600 millilitres of water here, and because I know this is more or less the right amount, I add about half of it in the first go. I just put a dust mask on until the dust has died down a bit. Okay, now I just pick up a handful. I just rub it between my hands. All of these lumps that you see, these are the wettest sections of it. And I just want to distribute the moisture into the mix a little more evenly. I use just 4% dextrin to bind this. It makes nice hard granules, and obviously the more dextrin you use, the less powerful your BP is going to be. Now at this stage, before it's too wet, I like to run it through a 12 mesh screen into a collection box here, just to distribute the moisture a little more evenly. If you put too much water in, it's not going to go through it. It'll just clog up the mesh. This mesh has seen better days. It needs repairing. You can use a stainless steel blade like this, it gets it through a little bit quicker. And all these lumps here are the ones which are wettest. Just rub it between your hands and break them up a little bit. Now I've got a pile here. This has got 2/3 of the water I need. If I squeeze it now, it clumps together, but it's not well consolidated. And now I just put it back into the. I was going to say galamang, the Thai word for it. I can't think what the English word is now. Washing up bowl will do. Okay, so I know that this has got a fair amount of moisture and it's reasonably distributed. And now I add most of the rest. I'll just leave a little bit. So there's about 1100 millilitres of water in there now. And now just squeeze it together. As I say, I use about 25%. I guess if you're using a different kind of charcoal that absorbs more water or less, you might want less and you might want more. Also, the amount of water I put in here to granulate it, it's sufficient that the mix doesn't stick to the screen when you push it through, but it's not terribly dry either. And depending on how much smaller material than 4 mesh you want when you granulate it, if you put more, well, if I put more than 25% in this mix, I get something really sticky, and almost all the granules that get pushed through end up between, well, they're all about 4 mesh, 95% is 4 mesh. If I put it through a lot drier, then I end up with a lot of smaller particles as well. Maybe 10-15% of it will end up as 8 mesh when it goes through. So it depends what you want to granulate your mix at. I'm just trying to get all these big lumps here and then just squash them and smooth them out into the rest of the mix. Okay, I've fast forwarded a bit now and I've added most of the rest of the water. I've got about 50 millilitres left in there. Now if you have a look inside here, you'll see that it's stuck together now so much that you can't really rub it between your hands much, so I just squeeze it. It's taken on the consistency of window putty now, which is more or less how it should be. Now some people leave it now, cover it over with a wet cloth and leave it for an hour or something for the dextrin to activate. I find I don't really need to do that. If it's at this stage, it's just fine, it dries nice and hard. Now I take a ball of it round about the size of a cricket ball, and if you just slap it on the table, and you see, if you break it like this, now you put it together again and you give it a good slap. the fracture where you had it broken has healed up. You can see it's closed, it's all become one piece again. And this is about the consistency I want it. It's not wet on the top, but it's kind of shiny and it's smooth. And if I break it open, it looks pretty much the same inside, but then when you come to slap it again, it becomes one piece easily. If you can break it really simply, then it's too dry. This is about how I like it. Some people like to do it a bit drier than this, some people like to do it wetter, but if you've got it like this, and it shouldn't stick to the screen too much, then I just whack it on the table just to consolidate it a little bit. And I make a little block like that. Now when it comes to granulating it, I use this is a 4 mesh screen, which means every inch has 4 squares in it, and this is what I use to granulate to get 2FA. My 2FA probably isn't the same as commercial 2FA. My 2FA is powder that has passed a 4 mesh sieve and been retained on an 8. So anything smaller than an 1/8 of an inch I use, I call that 3FA, I guess, and I use that for smaller shells. But everything that goes through this mesh and stays on this one, this I term 2FA, although really I guess it isn't. 2FA is more -4 mesh plus 12 mesh. So this is -4 plus 8 really. Now when you come to granulate it, don't do it like you've got a piece of cheese on a cheese grater. If you scrape it across here like that, then the granules that you end up are kind of long slithers. They're not round or square at all. So don't scrape it across the mesh. Push it down against it hard and then just grind it. Grind it into the mesh. And then the granules are not perfectly round, they're not perfectly square, but they're not slithers. And that's all you do. I try not to build up a big layer of it. I want it fairly thin on this window screen. It dries out nice and fast then and doesn't have a tendency to stick together. I don't put paper under the screen. I think it dries faster like this with the air getting in from underneath, and also I guess if your mix is a little bit wet, the paper will absorb some of the water, and it's going to absorb potassium nitrate, which is dissolved in the water as well, so you're probably reducing the power of it. So that's basically how I do it. Mix with water about 25% and granulate it through there. And then this I'll leave on this screen if it's nice and breezy outside. I don't dry it in direct sun, I dry it in the shade until it's hard enough that you can pick it up and not squash it with ease. Then I put it in direct sunlight for the last couple of hours to get it really hard and crispy. So I'll leave this here for it's about 3 in the afternoon now. 6 o'clock it starts to get a bit humid and damp, so I'll bring it onto the table and put it into paper bags. In about 3 hours it's hard enough to handle, and then tomorrow morning it'll be dried in the shade for another 3 hours, and then given that we've got a nice day tomorrow, it'll go out in full sunlight for about another 5 or 6 hours, and then it's dry. Basically, if the weather's good, you can make this and have it dry and ready to use in 2 days. That's the 5 kilos all granulated.